Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner and operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and welcome to our show today. Now, you are getting us on a very special day as we are right now kind of highlighting some amazing found footage films during this month of special episodes. Now, I say that because the film we're going to be talking today is not completely a found footage film, but it does rely on that aesthetic for about half of it. So we're including it in our found footage themed month for that particular purpose. Also, because it is also a really famous, or should I say, infamous film for many different reasons, as we will discuss. Now, if you have been watching our show, you will realize that what we do is we take one movie, and me and a special guest will go and critique and analyze, discuss, conversate about that particular film. And so before I get to my special guest today, I would like to introduce the film that we are going to be doing, which is 1980's Cannibal Holocaust. And to discuss this film with me, I have brought on Jim Adams to kind of help me go into this movie. Thank you, Jim.
Oh, you always save the good shit for me. Yeah.
So for everyone who's been listening to our show, we have yet to have actually done a film that is so infamous as this film. And
this film has been banned in I don't know how many countries. It's still banned in a few. But
and you know, we will acknowledge right beforehand that there were some questionable filmmaking practices done at the time the movie was originally made, but those practices, which included actual animal mutilations and such,
yes,
were not really banned at the time the movie was made, but has since been a practice that has been banned in filmmaking. So we will forgive the film for those trespasses because of the age of which the film is, because the film is celebrating its 45th anniversary this year.
Right.
25 years. And
it's hard to believe it's been that long.
It is really hard to believe it's been 45 years. But the reason why we're kind of highlighting this is because this film, half of the movie is a found footage film. It literally is a found footage and a film.
And it is attributed to being one of the, it's not the first, but it is being attributed as one of the main ones that got the genre started.
Yep.
That got people's attention. Because there was a couple little ones that had come out before it. I think they were both from Italy, that sort of got Ruggero Deodato, the director, fired up and said, yeah, let's do it this way. And so I mean, that's another reason, because I love found footage films, as you know.
Yeah, and, we both do.
We both do. And this one really set it off.
I don't know what your experience is about when you first saw this film, but I'd like to know what yours is versus mine.
I did not see it in the theater at the time. I caught it during my VHS years. When the mom and pop video stores started popping up, and I got my first VCR, and happened to see this thing. I said, "No, Cannibal Holocaust. That looks like a good family film to take home." Let's. And it had an interesting. The cover was very interesting. Some of the artwork on it. So, and a name like that, I was watching some pretty weird stuff back then, the early days of my VCR. So that's when I first saw it. I was like, wow, did I see what I just saw? I had a little bit of trouble. There's a couple of key scenes in this that involved animals that bothered me a great deal. But there was a message contained in this movie that did come through that really impressed me. This guy really, Ruggero took some real risks and really thought out of the box. This one, he really did. He got into a lot of trouble for doing this film. He caught a lot of hell for making this film. I actually got arrested and thrown in jail. One place, and not for long, but so this film has been getting, it's funny. It doesn't get ambivalent reviews. It was either some of the critics absolutely loved it or they absolutely despised it.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no middle ground when it came to this film. And I'm trying to think. It must have been around. It must have been in the mid '80s when I first saw it. I'm trying to think. I got my first VCR somewhere around '85 or '86. Somewhere around there when before even, I don't even think Blockbuster was around quite yet. It was just more the little privately owned, the little mom and pop deals, and they always had some of the best stuff in their horror sections. But then several years later, I got to meet Rogerio Deodato and talk to him for quite a while, and that was quite interesting because he couldn't believe I'd actually seen the movie. He was very, very shocked that I'd actually seen it, and wanted to talk to him. So, nice guy. He was just a really nice guy. But we talked quite a bit about the message and all of that. He really targeted some of the greed and the corporate stuff that we saw coming out of the '80s, the Me generation, and he really hits them right in the face with some pretty heavyweight stuff.
Yeah. So I didn't see this film until maybe 15 to 20 years ago.
Wow. Okay.
I had never seen a cannibal film. And after I went to college, I learned all about the cannibal cycle of horror films, all about the nunsploitation, black.
Yeah.
I learned about all these different exploitation era.
Oh, there's all these subgenres. Yeah.
But I had not seen them, and we did not discuss them that much, other than the fact that they existed in film classes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I graduated, I decided to start seeking out a lot of these films. And just so that everyone knows, I currently still do seek out a lot of these films, although the whole run of cannibal films were not films that actually appealed to me in the slightest bit, and I've seen a lot of them now.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of them now. But
would you say that there's sort of you remember when Faces of Death made its run through the video stores?
Yeah.
This film initially reminded me of that.
I was
it's not the kind of it's something I watched out of curiosity and tired of very quickly. And it was like, I was like you. I didn't really go in for the cannibal thing that much.
I think to be honest with you, with these type of films and those type of subgenres, they appealed to an audience at a particular time period, and then they were chastised and forgotten about for the most part.
Yeah, right.
This film, because of the way it is filmed, and it uses the whole found footage aesthetics and everything like that contained within the film, has allowed this film to live on a crazy life outside of the time period in which it was made.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's a hard film to categorize because it's a film that I say any horror fan or any film fan should watch at least once, but it's not a film I recommend to anyone.
No, I'm with you. I don't know how to put it into words either. It's like there is some artistry in this movie. There really is. And there's a message in this movie that most people would agree with, but what they don't agree with, and what got Rogerio in so much trouble, was his methods of telling that story.
Yeah.
More so than the story itself.
And don't get me wrong, we're going to basically kind of give you like a heads up about the film, because I know there's a lot of people out there who probably have heard the infamy about Cannibal Holocaust, but not actually.
Oh, yeah.
But essentially, a Professor Monroe at the very beginning of the film is tasked with finding out what happened to these 4 filmmakers who disappeared into the Green Inferno while making a documentary film on cannibals.
Yes, right.
He goes into the field with, he's directed to the area in which the filmmakers disappeared by kind of like the local military people, who then capture someone so that they can go and take this captured person back to the tribe and try and figure out exactly what happened to these filmmakers. as Monroe and his two other trusty companions venture deeper into the Green Inferno, they soon learn that the filmmakers were killed and were put on display as a warning, and that their footage survived. And then he has to spend a little time trying to convince the villagers to give him the footage, which takes a little bit of time because everything has to deal with these white filmmakers that came into their village as bad juju. And
they were horrible individuals. I mean, it was like, that was the thing, these guys, they were like, I don't know how to put it, but I mean, they just, they just treated these people as subhuman and just did whatever they wanted to do. It's like, hell, I probably would have killed them too.
But Monroe doesn't know any of this until after.
No, he doesn't until he's seen the footage.
He brings the footage back to civilization, and then the editor for the company that he works for, the film editor, kind of splices all the footage together to make it coherent. And then the second half of the film is Monroe watching this footage to finally figure out what happened to the filmmakers. But as he watches the footage, he delves deeper into the depravity of the filmmakers and what they did to craft an artificial story about these indigenous people that they needed cannibals out of. And then, of course, we learn that their tactics were so depraved that the natives end up killing these filmmakers in brutal ways, and then using them to warn off anyone else like that from coming to the contact with them. And then that's kind of like the basic structure of what the story is. But
that's it. Yeah, you did it very well. Yeah, exactly.
When you're watching it, one half of the film is Monroe going out in the jungle. You're seeing from his perspective what the people lived like, what they did, the different types of natives, and how they interact with each other. Some of them hate each other, some of them aren't.
Right.
How they're brutal to one another. But you don't really see a lot of crazy cannibalism stuff in this film.
No, not really. No, you don't see any cannibalism stuff until halfway through the movie.
You don't see that halfway through the movie when you're watching the filmmakers.
Yes.
The film footage, the found footage you're watching.
Yes, right.
That's important to distinguish because you're watching found footage of documentarians, but most everything that they craft is artificially created. They're just trying to make money. I mean, that's the thing we don't really find out until we get into watching the found footage. But because you wonder, how do people like this get to be documentarian? I mean, it's like, nobody in the right mind would send people like this into the Amazon to terrorize these jungle natives to make a documentary. And then it turns out, now this is like, they're thinking in terms of what's going to make us the most money. Let's make it so outrageous that, it's like, okay, I'll say it, folks, reality TV, which is nothing real about reality TV. It's all fake for the most part. And it really is. I mean, I'm sorry, folks, if I just blew everybody's mind. But it was like that. It's just like they staged everything. Yeah.
And of course, they got their comeuppance.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you see that, they have a subject for their documentary, but you see for a huge chunk of it is them filming each other.
Yes.
Which is so why are you wasting all this footage? But you kind of, when Monroe is first watching the very first footage with the producer and the editor, the producer is telling him that they had unusual tactics with their filmmaking style.
Yeah.
They relay back to the filmmaker's earlier film in which they were in a war-torn area and manufacturing some of the shots to get good action shots.
Right.
So you come to realize that that's just a tactic that they do. They're sensationalizing this.
Yeah.
Which, you can either be the sensationalist filmmaker where you're kind of help fabricating stuff, or you can be the outsider, like a nature documentary where you're 5,000 feet away just watching it to see what happens. And these filmmakers,
right, and try not to let people know that you're there. That's right.
but these filmmakers are impatient. They realize that the natives aren't coming to them and that they need to do something. So they're manipulating things in order to get into the village.
Right.
We skipped a lot, but the found footage aspect of this film is so interesting because they essentially fabricate and capture a person or maim him just so they can follow him back to his village. And get to the village, they use their guns as intimidation upon the people, using up their resources and shooting and burning their village and all this stuff that they do just to get footage because the natives aren't
that is unreal. Yeah, that part of it. In fact, I think that was a big influence. I see a lot from this film that influenced other filmmakers with other genres. Did that burning down the village, that remind you of Platoon?
But
there's
a
lot like that.
There's no cause for it other than that they're filming it.
They won't let them leave the burning building. They force them to burn up in their huts.
Yeah, and I mean, two of the characters are literally trying to have sex while in one of the huts while the people are outside. It's like, and then the third guy is filming the two people having sex. I was like, so what type of film are you trying to make here?
Exactly.
Because you guys aren't documenting the truth; you're fabricating and creating your own truth.
Yep.
And as you're watching this, it's very interesting because you're watching who should be people with a little bit more integrity shooting a documentary about people, yet they have absolutely none.
No, there's no integrity with these people at all. It's all about how much money can we make. That's all they care about.
And it's a complete opposite for the very first half of the film when you're watching Monroe, who is trying to learn about each of the different tribes and be invited into those tribes' customs in order to gain
right.
And even though there are some instances where he has to wait and watch, he is not directly influencing a lot of the stuff in there like the filmmakers do when they show up at the film. So.
Right.
But that's some of the stuff I see.
And then he's horrified when he does see the actual footage that I think he traded. Well, what it was his tape recorder, I think, that he traded to the chief to get access to the.
The audio. He records the audio. And
right.
The audio is something that they've never.
It's one of their ceremonies.
Yeah. So, and it's a fair difference between Monroe's tactic, which is recording mostly audio and stuff like that, versus the filmmakers who got their cameras with them all the time, filming everything. But the film does a really great job contrasting the difference between the two types of filmmakers within the films and the sets of characters and their tactics as they and the thing is, the four filmmakers lose their guide. Halfway through the journey, he gets bitten by a snake, I believe.
Right, but very deadly snake, and he dies on him.
They can't save him, and he dies. And instead of returning home, because they don't have a story at that point, they want to keep going and keep going.
Yeah, right.
And hence why they get lost trying to flee the place right before they are killed, because they don't have a guide to teach them how to get through the jungle. But
and then when a couple of them are trying to get away, they have no idea where they're at or how to get away. Or
no,
so
it's like
it all came back on them pretty quick.
But I am a little surprised they didn't have more than one guy taking them. I was like, oh shit, you have one guy.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah, especially in a place like, and they shot this in the real Amazon, folks. By the way, that is one thing Deodato did was these locations were for real, as far as the jungle stuff goes. I kept thinking, as an actor, would I have taken a role like that? No, I probably would not have. There's no way I would have made a movie in the middle of the Amazon. I'm sorry. I just, you know, I don't think I could have handled that.
Hey, you don't know. We got to remember back in that time period, a lot of there was.
I mean, maybe when I was younger, but I don't know.
There was a lot of these movies being this whole trend.
Oh, I know.
Cannibal film.
I know.
Man from the River, Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Apocalypse.
True.
Anthropophagus. You got tons of freaking cannibal films because they were, for some reason, were big. Now, I'm not a big fan of these type of movies, which is why before rewatching the film for the podcast, I had only ever seen this movie one other time. And it was a film that I liked the filmmaking and the message the movie was making.
Yes.
But it is not an enjoyable film to watch.
No, it is not a fun film to watch. No. Not at all. And it's one of those rare films where there's a couple of times I have to look a little away from the screen. I've only seen it 3 times, so I'd only seen it twice before we just, picked it to do a show on. And there were still a couple scenes that I just couldn't look at in its entirety. It was the animal stuff, and there was a rape sequence too that I didn't care to watch. I just sort of looked down until it was done.
Yeah,
because it was just really hard to watch.
It's hard to watch because everything in the movie looks so damn real.
Yeah, no, it looks real legitimate. This found footage looks like, this is the real thing.
And which is really rough considering it's the 80s, and a lot of the times you see a lot of the fake real easily. Some of the other cannibal movies are obviously fake.
Oh yeah, well that's what I was saying earlier. Why it left with me sort of the same feeling the first time I saw Faces of Death. Because this was actual footage of people dying, and I can't put a word to it. It was almost like, God, I shouldn't be watching this. This is just not, and so I didn't rent all the Faces of Death movies. The one was enough. I think there may have been one other one similar like that I did watch.
Was it Faces of Death or Traces of Death?
No, I think it was Faces of Death.
Yeah, I think there's 5 Faces of Death.
I think it's 5 altogether. Yeah, I think you're right.
I've seen the first one when I was a kid, and I've never bothered to watch any of the other ones, and never gone back to watching the first one.
No, I've never gone back to rewatch any of them.
But I have studied some of those Mondo films from back then, Mondo Carne, and
I saw Mondo, Mondo Cane or Carne,
Carne, and that whole subgenre of
that one used to run on the midnight circuit. When I was in college and stuff, but once was enough. I didn't really need to see that again.
That's the thing about some of these types of films like this. It's like, all right, I've seen it. I don't think I ever need to watch it again. And
exactly, right.
If we hadn't done the show, I probably would have not bothered with Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh no, I've had a buddy of mine who's in the film industry in New Orleans used to send me up DVDs, and he'd sent me this. I guess about 16, 17 years ago. So I've had it for a while, and just I watch it on VHS, and then the other days when I said, okay, I can pull the DVD out and I'll take a look at it.
I have a 2 DVD set of this movie. I watched, like I said, it's been sitting on my shelf, and I've since watching this film, I've actually watched a lot more of Deodato's other films.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen his other stuff.
And if I hadn't seen how well he put together Cannibal Holocaust, I probably would have never bothered with some of his other films. And I've read a couple books about his film work and his style and all that type of stuff. So I've read about him now.
Right. Right.
But had I not watched this film, I probably would have put off most of his other films, like a lot of the other directors of cannibal films at the time, who I have not studied. Because
right.
I mean, this was huge in the Italian film industry.
Oh God, that was a huge part of the Italian film.
For those 5-6 years, it was
huge. Just a short period of time, but they packed a wall up.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of them. I've probably seen the Cannibal cycle of films than I have of any other cycle of films. And that's because there's some of the names for some of these things are just so crazy that you just can't help but watch them. but this is the only one that, well, it is true. I think there's I can't remember the other one. I think it was Man from Deep River is the only other one I liked. Has John Saxton in it. Is that Man from Deep River?
I think so. Yeah, I believe you're right on that one. Now, there was one he was in called Cannibal Apocalypse.
I haven't seen that.
In the early days, I used to confuse that with Holocaust. But I kept saying, okay, which one's the one they shot in Atlanta? Because that was Cannibal Apocalypse. They actually shot in Atlanta with John Saxon.
That one I've not seen.
But before I'd actually seen Cannibal Holocaust, I did used to confuse those two.
Oh, Jesus.
Because I'd heard about Apocalypse way back in the 70s. But that's a whole different ballgame with that one.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, no other film of the Cannibal cycle tried to replicate what happened in this film.
No. This is
there were people who went into the jungle for some weird reason, and they came across cannibals. But this film that was more like real life. It was, and it didn't make like the other ones. You could tell all the blood and stuff is fake. It looks fake. Some of it's pretty extreme, but in this one, it looks real. It's trying to
it's really
and that's why it hits harder than some of the. And it's not trying to be It's not trying to be action packed or entertained.
No.
Yeah, so this is a much different film than most of the other ones out there.
And the one thing about the message of the film, this is something when I met Ruggiero, and we were talking about it, and I told him, I said, the one thing that really stood out to me about the message he had here was that the TV people in this film, because you basically got these TV people that have helped commission this professor, who, by the way, was a former porn star. The guy who plays Monroe was a former porn star.
Kerman.
Actually, Arbola or whatever is what he performed under. But yeah, Robert, what was it, Kerman? Yeah, Kerman. And which when that was found out, that also got this film into a little bit of hot water too. A lot of people didn't care for that. Does a great job. I mean, he was a good actor.
Yeah,
he's a really good actor. But these people in these producers or whatever they were of this production company or whatever big production company in New York, they were almost as bad as the filmmakers that went out and started all this stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like all of a sudden the lines are blurred between who are the real savages and who are the or whatever. I mean. In a sense, the supposedly sophisticated society was more savage than the people that they were trying to represent as these horrible savages that ate people. Yeah, and that was the part that really hit home to me.
Yeah,
but I'll never forget that convention. It was sort of a disaster convention that nobody attended, and when I walked up to his table and I said, "Yeah, I've seen your movie." And he couldn't believe it. He said, "You've seen my movie?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, and I told him a couple of things that, like I just talked about here. And he was just like in heaven. I was like, "Oh, wow." And he says, "What's your name?" And I said, "Jim." And he goes, and he writes, "To my friend, Jim, Rogerio Diodato." And he hands me this picture that he signed. He says, "You take." That's for you. We must have talked about 45 minutes to an hour about some of his other stuff, because then I had seen, after I'd seen Cannibal Holocaust, I was like, yeah, I saw a couple of his other films too, as well.
Yeah.
Sort of intrigued with other non-cannibal type movies that, I mean, he did make a couple of other cannibal movies, but some that were outside of that genre as well.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah, he definitely did other movies.
I mean, he studied under Rossellini. Rossellini's the one that taught him how to make movies, so he had a good teacher.
Well, and Diodato, like a lot of other directors, Italian directors at the time, would do whatever the studio wanted them really to do, and then they moved to another genre when another genre was popular, and they just keep moving around.
Yeah.
I mean, Lucio Fulci did the same thing. Diodato did it. So many of them did it. If they were able to not get pigeonholed in giallo films.
Right, yeah, because this is right around that time the giallo films are really kicking off. Because I was a big fan that's when I became a big fan of Dario Argento and Bird with the Crystal Plumage, which really sort of kicked things off in that genre, and started watching a lot of those.
Yeah, well, the Italian film industry was very prolific back then. And
they got into the zombie stuff. They got into the zombie stuff before anybody did it.
They would, and they would pick up on any genre that would be popular audiences, run to the ground, and then go to the next thing.
That's it.
It's a little sad that the Italian industry right now has suffered for decades, I believe. There hasn't been a consistent horror outfit to theatrical for a long time.
No. It's been a while since they've done anything substantial. That's true.
They kind of stuck with their dramas and comedies for the most part, and theatrical wise. And then, Dario Argento has a name, but his name is not really producing a bunch of stuff for theatrical distribution anymore. He did a lot of stuff for television.
Right.
And Diodato kind of retired. His style.
He got out of it a few years before he died, and
because he died not too long ago.
No, just a few years. That's what I was going to look up real quick. I know it hasn't been that long. 2022.
Yeah, I was like, say
he's 83 years old.
Yeah. So, but
he was in his late 70s when I met him. But he was still looking good. I mean, he was very, very lively.
I wish I could have met him. I do, because of the Italian directors, I studied a lot of his films in Dario Argento, Mario Bava, Lamberto Bava.
Big Bava fan, yep.
I studied.
And Lamberto was at that same convention, so I had a chance to talk to him briefly as well. He and Barbara Steele had traveled together, because Barbara did a lot of films for Mario, and they had to catch a plane, so I didn't get to talk to him that much. But
she, from my understanding, she speaks several languages, so she was able to go to multiple different.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. She's very versatile as an actor.
I had to talk to her later on the phone. About 6 months later, she called me up on the phone, and we talked for quite a while. So
See, that's why we got to travel. I got to start following you around your convention. Jim, that's the reason why we like talking to each other about this stuff, because me and you appreciate these older.
I am, man. I'm a monster kid from the 60s.
I didn't grow up with any of these. I had a great appreciation during my college years when I started to learn about these Italian filmmakers, and then I started to watch all of their films when I was getting out of college, and then up until now, I just I inundated myself with tons and tons of Italian.
Well, the home video thing turned everything on its ear. I'd gotten interested in foreign cinema from the old education TV station where I grew up in New York. Would run a lot of foreign films. So I learned a lot of, saw a lot of French films and German films and some British stuff that didn't make it over here. And a little bit of Italian. There was some Italian ones like La Dolce Vita and stuff that did make its way across. But then when the VHS craze hit, I mean, they especially in the horror genres, man, that was half the damn video store, which I loved. I mean, it was like Yeah, I mean, I would just walk out with armfuls of stuff that just had these very provocative covers. But I said, this has got to be some good stuff. And that's where I really learned a lot. I mean, Dario, like I said, Dario Argento, I was in high school when Bird with Crystal Plumage came out. So I knew him. And Bava I'd known because he'd done some monster movies that made it here in the United States. But the others like Fulci and, oh, gosh, there's so many others. That's how I got really into that whole genre of film. Yeah. Not necessarily cannibals, but definitely the zombie stuff. Because that was the Fulci did the zombie stuff. He sort of picked up what George Romero started and really went to town with it. And all the Giallo directors.
Yeah. Well, I kind of wish that Deodato had done movies that I could have shown to my friends when I was in high school. I used to do horror screenings for friends of mine. I'd invite them to the house, and I'd show them movies that I thought that everyone should watch. And I was known in my little area of my friends as the film geek because I would go and see all the movies at the theater.
Oh yeah.
But whereas my friends usually waited till they came on the video, I would see everything at the theater. And so I knew more. I would have all like the bootlegs of all the good stuff that they wanted to watch. And
yeah.
And so I do these film screenings at my house. All right, guys, come on over here. Let's watch Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. Evil what? Let's watch Forte Zombie. Oh, you're gonna love this movie.
Bruce Campbell should be giving you a commission, because if I did for the videos, nobody would have known who he was.
I did those movies, Zombie, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
I love that one. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
That was the one that didn't go over well with my friends. Was Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. They thought it was boring.
Really? Oh.
But Evil Dead.
Boring. Wow.
They thought it was boring. But Evil Dead and Zombie did extremely well. But if I had a Deodato film that was like cool as shit back then, I would have definitely played it.
Well, the good thing about a situation like that where you're showing them Cannibal Holocaust, you don't have to worry about providing any kind of refreshments because if you're hungry during that film, you've got some really weird friends.
I don't think.
Hey, let's get a pizza. No, let's not. Let's not do that.
I'm not sure if I would have survived the Cannibal Holocaust when I was a kid. Thankfully, I didn't watch that until I was in college. Or after college. I don't actually remember when I saw it. I remember studying the genre.
Yes.
And learning about all the different genres in college, but I don't think I watched it till after college.
Okay.
And I did a deep
dive. Well, I was out of college. I was in my 30s, before I saw it for the first time.
Yeah, see, I think I was probably close to that, to like 25.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there when I first saw it. And the thing is, I was really aware of, because I did this deep dive for like the video nasties of the UK, of which this movie was on the list.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, yeah.
And so when I learned about that in film school, I did a deep dive and tried to find most of those films that were on the list.
Yes.
At the time, and Cannibal Holocaust was on there among other ones, and that was one of the reasons that pushed me to find this film.
Yeah.
But like I said, I bought a DVD, a 2-disc DVD. Said it was an anniversary one. I wish I could remember which company had done it. It's a really nice DVD version of the movie.
I'm trying to because I when we were getting ready, I was looking to see how hard is it to find this movie. It is not hard to find at all.
No. This is.
I mean, a lot of streaming services you can get this. You can find. You find this movie on Peacock, Tubi.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's all over the place, and they are restored versions. Because the one I looked at was definitely restored.
Yes, mine's a restored version.
Nice HD, HD.
Yeah, mine's a restored version. They actually put that on the DVD cover.
Just what you want to see in high definition. Yeah. Okay. Let's make it more real.
Well, speaking about that, we haven't touched upon is all the nudity in the film and the violence in the film. We haven't talked.
There's a lot of nudity and violence in there. Yes, that's
right. There's a lot of nudity and there's a lot of violence against women in this film.
Very much so. Yeah.
So that's probably the hardest reason for me to watch the film. is that, like, when I was younger and I was single, I would have never given two thoughts about any of that stuff. But I'm older, married with kids, and when I watch those sequences, when I rewatch the movie,
no, there's what 3 rape scenes
it was
that I can think of, and they are rough. They're bad.
They're brutal.
And the one that involved Francesca Ciardi, the Italian gal, I haven't seen her in hardly. This is about the only thing I've ever seen her in. She was real uncomfortable what they were asking her to do in this movie, but she had to do it. Of course, I think she was related. I can't remember if she was related to the writer, or she knew somebody involved with the crew. I can't remember which one. But yeah, they asked her to do an awful lot that I don't think many actresses nowadays would do. Some of the stuff she had to do.
I think it would be really hard to do this type of film in this day and age. Even if you took out the animal mutilations, I think it would be really hard, especially in American film, under the union structure that we have nowadays.
Yes, yeah.
This is an Italian film, so they don't have to follow the same strict guidelines. But even then, it would be hard to do this type of movie in this day and age.
Oh, absolutely.
Still be as effective as the movie was. I know Eli Roth tried it with Welcome to the Jungle, his cannibal movie.
Yeah, he did. I forgot how long. It wasn't that long ago, but he. They tried a lot of what they tried to do was with CGI and stuff, which.
To be honest with you, I don't remember the movie that well. It's like I don't.
No, it didn't do well. It did not do well.
I need to rewatch it because I like Eli Roth's films in general, but for some reason that was one of his films I just didn't care for. But
it just didn't cut it.
Well, it had a message too, like most of Eli Roth's films do. But I mean, I know he's trying to pay homage to the cannibal whole subgenre, but but it's hard to pay homage to that type of genre when that whole mentality is gone, and we can't get that back. That's not something that we
right.
It's a product of its time. Like, you're not watching nowadays someone trying to emulate a nunsploitation movie or or a Nazi exploitation movie. People aren't trying to do that anymore.
That's right.
Those were huge subgenres for the limited amount of time they were. And I've seen films from both of those subgenres. They were both crazy subgenres. I actually don't mind the nunsploitation movies that much, but the Nazi exploitations are just freaking out.
Oh, the Nazi ones were,
those movies are just out.
We could spend all night talking about those.
No, we can't, because I haven't seen that many of them.
Oh, okay. But I was gonna say, well, the Ilsa ones are the most well.
I have seen the Ilsa. I have the Ilsa ones in my collection.
Just about everybody is at some point. If I haunted drive-ins growing up, and well into my adult years. You were hanging out on drive-ins. You knew a little bit about Ilsa, the she-wolf of the SS, but that whole SS genre.
Yeah, the thing was that when they for the time period in which these subgenres were really popular, which some of them were started in the 70s, but most of them were the 80s.
Yeah, mainly early 80s. Yeah,
these subgenres overlapped, and some of them extended longer than they ever should have, and some were short. But even the short ones, you would see numerous films that, because one of them would be popular, and then all the directors would come out of the woodworks to try and emulate it.
And try to cash in.
And then when people stopped watching them, they would die off and something else would take its place.
Yeah.
These films aren't talked about enough because there's just not enough people rewatching or reevaluating these.
No, that's true.
Today.
Right.
I mean, we don't talk about cannibal films that much because that's not a genre that modern day audiences want to talk about. Like, you may have a little bit of cannibalism. You can see some of that in Raw, which is amazing. But you're not going full on cannibalism like you would like Cannibal Holocaust or Cannibal
Yeah.
Pro or any of the other ones. They're not going full on like that. Nunsploitation ain't, you don't have that. That's not happening. The closest
No.
you're gonna get to something that has to do with nuns is going to be The Nun 1 and 2.
Yes. Right.
Nazi exploitation, the most you're gonna get from that subgenre is a trailer that's stuck in Grindhouse. It's a trailer.
Absolutely. Yep.
That's, right. That's what you're going to get. Yep. Us as filmmakers, because we're both filmmakers, we kind of know that these subgenres exist. But this is our first time on the show that we are actually taking one of these type of movies and actually discussed it.
Yeah, this is definitely the first time I've done a cannibal film. Yeah,
this is the first time we've done it on the show. We might do more later, but it's like the subgenre that most of my guest hosts just don't watch.
Well, no, yeah, I mean, like I said, I went in like everybody else. I wanted, it was something new, something curious, and I got a taste of it. It was like, yeah, okay, to move on. I mean, it was just, it just wasn't a thing that, but what stuck this one in my mind was the message.
Yeah.
And that whole thing about corporate greed, and because I was a journalist for many, many years, and the rule of thumb was if it bleeds, it leads, and that's still true nowadays, and even more so because I'm hard pressed to find news reporting at all. It's all entertainment, pretty much. Even some of the services that I respect, they've all been corrupted by that, making it more entertaining than factual. The days of Walter Cronkite and those guys are gone.
They are,
and that's what we saw in Cannibal Holocaust. We saw how, I don't want to say evil these TV people were or whatever these production people were, but these head honchos who were, sponsoring Old Monroe to go find out what happened to these kids that were doing this documentary for them. When Monroe was saying, I don't want anyone to see the end of this movie, like the last bit, the last little segment of Cannibal Holocaust is the actual found footage, and he didn't even want them to see it. Mm-hmm. And that's the part they loved. Yeah, man, we'll make a fortune off of this. It was like, and then you're really seeing, who the real savages were. They're just, we can make a few bucks off this. This is great. Not looking behind that as to people were losing their lives and some of the brutality that was going on behind that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I thought it's a powerful message in this film that unfortunately gets lost because of the techniques that Ruggiero used in making the film.
Yeah.
He smacks it right in the mouth. I mean, he's not subtle.
And a lot of stories, he actually says that some of that stuff was shot after he was done shooting the movie and inserted by the producers.
It was. That's true.
Yeah,
it was.
Yeah, he says that. And so he, it's odd that some of that stuff, when you watch the uncut version, that all that stuff is in there, but in the cut version, a lot of the animal mutilation stuff is not in there.
Yeah.
From what I've been told, I've only ever watched my copy, and my copy is the uncut version.
The scene with the monkey is displayed differently, and I'm not sure how much what they cut in the turtle scene where they're cannibalizing the turtle, the big sea turtle to eat.
Yeah.
That's a hard one to watch. And so is the monkey one. But a lot of that was trimmed off in the cut versions.
Yeah. So,
but they're not cut now, because what I saw the other day was everything. Everything was in it.
It'd be interesting to see what copy is on, like, what was it, Tubi and the rest of the streaming service, because they're all like, you could easily go find this movie now. Whereas
no, I checked out. I think it was Tubi's that I looked at, because I thought they had the best looking one. I'm trying to think if the one I saw. Yeah, that one had commercials, and it was the full 96 minutes. I mean, there was nothing cut in that at all. In fact, because there was some stuff that I was saying, boy, I don't remember that. I don't really remember that. So there was probably some of those add-ons.
Well, I will say this: it's between the first time I saw the film and the recent one I watched the film, I actually still remembered a lot of the story and material and everything. So it left an undeniable impression on me the first time I watched it, and
it sticks with you.
It sticks with you. I've seen lots of movies once, and I don't remember what the hell I watched like a day after watching the movie. But this film has stuck up with me for years.
Yeah, his message is strong. I mean, and yeah, you do. I mean, so it's, mission accomplished as far as what he wanted to do with the message he was getting across.
Yeah, and the other thing is when you're watching this, the score also is also really high on the film. And the funny thing is when they're releasing the footage back, the editor says, "I added music, a score to make it more palatable."
Yeah, it was a Riz Ortolani. Yeah, he did a lot of. I think he scored all of Ruggiero's films, if I'm not mistaken. But he was big time. He scored more than 200 films in his career. He was very popular and very, not just, he didn't do just cannibal films.
Oh God, I hope not.
But he was known. I mean, he was an orchestra. He had his own orchestra, and he was a conductor, and all that. So I mean, he did, but mainly scoring films. That was his specialty.
Okay. So
you might see that name pop up in some other genres here and there.
Well, the one thing I will say for our audiences is once we've started one cannibalism movie, I'm sure we'll jump right into the next one before long.
So, Kevin, you're saying you're hungry for more cannibal films?
No, I'm not. I'm more hungry. I'm more hungry for our show to delve deep into all subgenres of films. Our list does not include any Nazi exploitation or nunsploitation movies.
Oh, I'm so disappointed. Well, no, I don't know if I could get into the nun exploitation. I've never really seen any of those. Not for any particular reason. I just never got around to it. But yeah, the Nazi ones I've seen quite a few.
The funny thing is, as much
I had a thing for Diane Thorne. She was hot as a bullet, boy. She was, right, growing up and right in that age where
maybe
didn't take much to get me going.
Oh Jesus! Maybe we'll watch some of the Ilsa movies, and people. Yep. I think this is the only podcast that has ever talked about an Ilsa movie.
Really? Oh no, I think there's some out there. I'm sure.
Yeah.
They may only have 5 or 6 listeners, but there's definitely some people out there talking. There's a whole fan base, just for Diane Thorne and Ilsa.
Yeah. Well, we hope that when people listen,
that doesn't mean I know any of them, folks, but I'm aware that they're out there.
Well, we hope that with this episode of the show, we not only get people who like found footage films, but also can appreciate cannibal films, and especially Deodato's films, because this is our first Deodato film, and hopefully we'll be able to add to the list as we go on.
Yeah, because he's got a couple other interesting ones in here that are like not in Cannibal, but they're violent. There's always violence in his films.
Well, yeah, and that was one of the things.
That's the message he uses.
Well, that's the 70s and 80s, dude. The 70s and 80s were using lots of violence in their movies. It doesn't matter if it's a crime movie or if it's it doesn't matter. It's going to be lots of violence, and Italians are not afraid of putting violence in their films.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Which is funny because most of their films were made to export to other countries anyways, and not really for the Italian audience.
Yeah.
So, Jim, do you have any other thoughts that you'd like to tell everyone about Cannibal Holocaust?
Well, again, I mean, if you're interested in the art of filmmaking, then I would say it's worth a look, and look beyond the obvious criticisms it's gotten over the years, and just look at the message that Ruggero Deodato is trying to put forward, and it's pretty powerful, and it's one that's very appropriate for today.
Yeah.
It's
sensationalism and fake news.
Right, exactly. That whole thing. It's probably more relevant today than it was back in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
So I would never tell anybody not to watch it, but I would warn some people and caution them that there's going to be stuff in here that you might find very offensive, and just something that you may not want to see. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Exactly.
That's the thing. So I heavily caution folks on this one.
Yeah.
But it's worth a look. It really is.
I would like to add to that this is not a film for your general audience just wanting to watch a horror film. It's not for them. It is for someone who can appreciate the type of film it was when it was made.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have to have some type of interest in this subgenre.
Right.
It is not a popular genre in this day and age from audiences. It is something that has more or less been forgotten by general audiences. And for some corners, a genre that would be better left unsaid and uncovered. But the thing is, as filmmakers, as film connoisseurs, as horror film lovers, we delve deep into the darkness of movies and different story aspects out there. We have movies like A Serbian Film and Martyrs and Frontiers.
Right. And I love all of those. But again, when I say that, I've seen most of those one time and never gone back to them again.
Exactly. I am the same way. I've loved them all, and I've only ever seen them once. Now, when you sit down and you watch Cannibal Holocaust, you're watching a film that came way before those films.
It sort of set the table for some of them.
It most certainly did. And the fact that it was done in such a realistic manner to emulate real life, that's even more shocking than watching something like Martyrs or Frontiers, of which you know is a movie when you're watching.
No, I know, yeah, boy, and they're rough, but they're brilliantly done.
A Serbian film mixes that whole thing. What's part of the filming, what's real life? It kind of mixes a lot of that stuff in there. But there's a lot of people who can't do a Serbian film. They just refuse, or like The Human Centipede.
No, that's a hard film for folks to watch.
Yeah, there's hard films to the stomach, but there are people who I've seen all of them, so
I have too. Yeah, all the ones you just rattled off, I've seen every one of them.
I don't mind the extreme nature of filmmakers and their stories as much as I detest some of the ideals in the Serbian film. I think they did a really great job.
Yes,
story, and it wasn't the story. And the characters and the way they developed it is not sensationalistic like some other films. That film actually has a point. It's just doing it in a different way that's hard for a lot of audience members. And if it's going to be hard, you don't need to watch it if you're not willing to take that risk.
No, that's right. That's right.
Or that leap of faith. Cannibal Holocaust is like that. You have to take a leap of faith to watch it. Like you said, once you watch it, you can't unwatch it.
That's right.
I tell that, I say, hey, you can be curious about The Human Centipede, but once you watch it, you can't unwatch it.
Oh, yeah, don't get me on that. I mean, I've only seen the one, and I wish I hadn't. It's one of those rare films that was like, I really didn't want to see this movie. But at the time, it was just getting so much word of mouth. And someone sent me a copy of it. And so I said, well, okay, I'll give it a look.
I have seen all three.
I haven't seen the rest of them. It just, the one was really enough for me. The
second one goes even further. By the time you get...
I had a feeling.
So with that, I want to thank you, Jim, for discussing Cannibal Holocaust with me. And for everyone out there, we go through and we rate the movies from 1 to 5, depending on our like of the movies. Now, 1 is going to be poor, 5 is going to be amazingly excellent. Where on the spectrum would you put Cannibal Holocaust there, Jim?
I'm going to give it a 3.5 because of the film, like the film message and the technique. And if Ruggiero was here still, if he was still with us, I'd say I just didn't like some of his execution on a couple of things there that I wish he'd done it a different way. But, the film itself, I thought, had a powerful message and a good message. And I thought it was well made. But I think 3.5, I think, I'll go with that.
See, I'm going to be a little bit more generous than you. I'm going to give it 4.
Okay. Well, I debated a 4, but
I'm going to give it 4. I
couldn't quite go that far, but
I do believe it is a film with a lot of merit. I do believe that it's
film. Oh, I agree. Yes,
extremely well made. I believe that it is a polarizing film, and I do believe that sometimes, as an audience, as a person who wants to know a lot more about, say, the film industry, the way films were made, the way a film can polarize an audience and hit a nerve with an audience, this film succeeds 110%. I mean,
I can't argue that at all.
I think the only thing that brings it down is that it is not a film that a lot of people will want to access.
Yes.
And I think that's what brings it down for being a 5 film. I was like, if there was a way in which you could bring this film in order to be seen by a larger audience, then you will have achieved ultimately the highest praise. But there is nothing in this film that will allow that. This will always be a niche and specialty film, and it will never ever get a large audience.
Agreed. Yep.
And that's his only fault. It's like Spielberg directing Saving Private Ryan. No one thought that he was going to be able to do a 30-minute opening scene where a lot of people fucking get killed and it's violent, but he achieved it. And general audiences went to go see this movie that they all knew beforehand was going to be extremely violent. And that's where you would differ, and that's where I put this movie. I like it was
that's a good analogy.
And it still holds up. It does.
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's a lot of cannibal movies that do not hold up whatsoever.
No.
They didn't hold up when I saw them.
No, there's a lot of cannibal movies that are just pure exploitative.
There's
garbage,
a ton of those.
But this one's not one of them.
Yeah. So, okay. With that, I want to thank you, Jim, again for joining us on this conversation in horror, in which we discuss Cannibal Holocaust. For everyone out there, we hope that you are enjoying the found footage films that we are screening this month. Make sure to check out all the previous episodes that we have done regarding found footage and our regular episodes. And make sure to check out our regular episodes every Wednesday at 8 a.m. and special themed episodes every Monday at 8 a.m. Make sure to also check out our sister podcast, Conversations in 4Color, which delves deep into comic books, manga, and graphic novels. That is our Patreon exclusive podcast. So you have to be a subscriber or follower of the Patreon page in order to access that. Make sure you check that out. And from everyone here at Something Wicked Entertainment, we want to wish you a pleasant day and try not to eat anyone on the way out. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka. All contents and material from this episode of Conversations in Horror is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures.